Hi everyone. In this video, we'll go through few examples of inverse of a matrix using elementary operations. Now let's take a couple of examples from exercise 3.4 to find the inverse of matrices if it exists. So first of all, not all matrices will have inverse. So if the matrix exists, if the inverse exists, then we'll find the inverse. So we have this matrix 2, 3, 5, 7. We'll call it as matrix A, and then we start with this first step. Now let's do this step by step. So we have matrix A. What is step 1? Step 1 is to make it as A is equal to identity matrix into A. So matrix A, that is 2, 3, 5, 7 is equal to identity 1, 0, 0, 1 into A. Right? Now, we'll take first element and we want to make that first element as 1. Right? So, simple. If you divide this first element by 2, then you will get it as 1. So that is basically you have to take the entire row 1. Now we are modifying row 1. So we'll take row 1. If you divide row 1 element by half, that is 1 by 2, then you're going to get this as 1. Right? We'll apply this operation. So what's going to happen? First copy what you're not going to modify. 5, 7 we're not going to modify. Just leave it like that, copy here. Right? Similarly here 0, 1. The second row is not going to get modified. Only the first row we're going to modify. So first row is row 1 into half. 2 by 2 into half, which is 1. 3 into 1 by 2. You're going to multiply this by half. Even this by half. So half into 2 is 1. Half into 3 is 3 by 2. Similarly here, 1 into half is going to be 1 by 2. 0 into half is going to be 0. Now this element is fine. Now let's go to the second element. See, you can pick either this element or this element, whichever is comfortable. Let's pick this element. We'll pick this element, second element. Any order you can follow. So now what I'll do, I want to modify second row. So I'll take row 2. What operation should I perform? I'll take row 2 element, subtract with 5 times of row 1. 5 times of row 1. See, the advantage of having 1 here is you can multiply anything with this 1 and you will get that number. So you get R2 minus 5R1. So now what is the matrix you're going to get? You're going to get, first row we're not going to modify. We're going to modify only row 2. So we'll write it like that as is. 1, 3 by 2, half and 0. Now we'll come to row 2. 5 minus 5 times of R1, which is 5 into 1, which is 5. So it's going to become 0. So it's going to become 0. Then second element we'll see 7. 7 minus 5 times of corresponding element is 3 by 2 in row 1. 7 minus 5 into 3 by 2, which is 7 minus 15 by 2. 7 minus 15 by 2. That's going to be 14 minus 15, which is minus half. Minus half. Similarly, we do for the right hand side matrix. 0 minus 5 times of corresponding row. 5 times of half. 5 into half, which is 5 by 2. And this one is going to become 1 minus 5 times of 0. 5 times of 0 is 0 itself. So what is that we are going to get? 0 minus 5 by 2 is minus 5 by 2. Minus 5 by 2. And 1 minus 0 is 0. So this is going to become 1. Now we'll continue this. We got first element and second element is fine. Now next step is we want to make this element as 1. This has to become 1. Right? How do I make this as 1? You have half here. If I multiply half with 2, then it's going to become 1. Half, when I multiply with 2, it's going to become 1. Right? Here there is minus. So it has to become plus sign. So I'll multiply with minus 2. Minus half and minus 2 is going to become plus 1. Right? So operation is known. What is the operation that we have to do? We have to take row 2 element and multiply with minus 2. So this is the operation that we have to do. So what is the matrix that we're going to get? First row we'll copy as is 1 by 3 by 2, which is equal to, here also we'll write it as is. Now row 2 is going to get modified, correct? Row 2, first element, 0 into minus 2, it's going to be 0 only. Second element is minus half minus 2, it's going to become 1, right? So this is 0 and 1. 0 and 1. Now let's come to the right hand side. So it will be minus 5 by 2 into 2 and 1 into 2. Sorry, it should be minus 2 because we have taken minus 2 here. So it's going to be 2 and 2 is going to get cancelled. So it's going to be minus 5 into minus 1, which is 5. And this is going to become minus 2. It's going to be 5 minus 2. Now we have this last element. This last element we'll have to modify. We'll have to make this as 0. This has to become 0. Right? How do you make this as 0? There is 1 here. Since there is 1, if I multiply this with 3 by 2 and subtract this 3 by 2 with this 3 by 2, it's going to become 0. So basically what is operation? You have to modify which one? Row 1. Take the row 1 element. You have to subtract it with 3 by 2 times of row 2 element, right? Then you're going to get 0. So let's try this. Let's do this. So we have to modify row 1 element. So let's leave it blank. Let's copy this row 2 as is. Row 2 is 5 and minus 2. Now we'll have to modify row 1 here. So row 1, that is 1. 1 minus 3 by 2 into R2. 3 by 2 into R2. What is R2? 0. So it's going to be 1 minus 0, which is 1 itself. Now second one is 3 by 2 minus 3 by 2 it's going to be. So it's going to be 0. Correct? So it's going to be 1 and 0. 1 and 0. Now let's do the same thing for right hand side. Half minus 3 by 2 into 5. Half minus 3 by 2 into corresponding element, which is 5. That's nothing but half minus 15 by 2, which is minus 14 by 2, which is minus 7. Minus 7. And second element is going to be 0 minus 3 by 2. 3 by 2 into row 2, which is minus 2. So we're going to cancel. So we're going to do 0 plus 3. It's going to be 3. So here we have completed all the operations. We got the identity matrix here. This is I and A. A was there. We just did not write A. Should write A everywhere. Okay. So I is equal to, this matrix is nothing but A inverse into A. Therefore, A inverse is minus 7, 3, 5, minus 2. This is our inverse. Clear? So let's take another example. This is a 3 by 3 matrix. This will have little more number of operations because the number of elements here are more. So again, we start with step 1. A is equal to I into A. This is step 1, right? A is equal to I into A. Now, first element is already 1. We don't have to worry about first element. Let's go to the second element in the column, which is minus 3. We want to make minus 3 as 0, right? Because we have to make this as an identity matrix. If I have to make minus 3 as 0, it's simple. Go to the first row, multiply it by 3, then it's going to become minus 3 plus 3 is going to become 0. So if I add with number 3, I can make this as 0. And to get a number 3, look for another row and you have 1 here. So 1 into 3. So basically the operation is row 2 plus 3 times of row 1 is row 2. So we'll get 0 here. Now you repeat this operation for other elements in the row. Here we have clubbed 2 operations for 2 different rows. We can do that also. We can club, right? Row 2 with row 1 element, row 3 with row 1 element. Because in row 3 we also want to make 2 also as 0. We want to make 2 also as 0 here, right? So to make 2 as 0, you multiply first row element with 2 times. So you will get 2 minus 2. You're going to get 0. Right? So you repeat this for row 2 also, the entire set of elements. And do the same thing for right hand side. We are going to get this matrix. We have modified row 2 and 3. So we got 1, 0, 0. This column is clean now. Now let's go to the next column. So in this example, we have used the interchange operation. Why interchange? See, if you notice here, minus 1 is there here. But basically you want 1 here, right? You want this 1 as here in this position. But 1 is here. So interchange this row here. If you interchange the row here, right? If you swap the rows, then you're going to get 1 here. So at least one operation is reduced. So it's going to be like this after interchange, right? Now, but this minus 1 has to become plus 1. Simple. Multiply the entire row elements with minus sign. So this minus will go away and it's going to become plus. Both the sides we have to do that. So multiply with minus 1 on both the sides. So this is done, this is done, this is done, this is also done. 4 elements are done. Now we'll go to this 3 and 9. Let's focus on 3 and 9. What do we do? So that this 3 becomes 0. This has to become 0. 9 also has to become 0. What should we do? Normally when you want to figure out which row I should take to get this as 0, simple. Look at a row where there is 1. So you want to make 3 as 0, right? If you have to make 3 as 0, then look for a corresponding element in another row. Look for 1. Look for 1 in some other row. You have 1 in row 2. Since you have 1 in row 2, you can multiply it with this with 3. And when you subtract this, it's going to become 0. So that is the clue. When you're confused, when you don't know which row I'll have to multiply, add, subtract, right? Find out for an element, corresponding element in some other row which has 1. Look for 1. And then do a multiplication and do either subtraction or addition, right? So now here we will do subtraction because we want 3 minus 3 as 0. So we have taken row 1 with 3 times of row 2. Similarly, now you want to make this 9 also as 0. So which you will have to find a row which has 1. Second row has 1. In the same corresponding element, the corresponding element of 9 in another row should be 1. So now you multiply this 1 with 9 times. Then you're going to subtract. You're going to get this as 0. So now you perform this entire row operation for row 1 and row 3. For row 1 and row 3, we perform the operation. Similarly on the right hand side. Right? Now you get this matrix. So all 6 elements are clear. Now we want to clear these 3 elements. You want it to be like the 0, 0, 1. This is what is our final result. We want this to be 0, 0, 1. We'll take the third element. We want to make 10 as 0. How do I make 10 as 0? Slightly complicated. There is no 1. In this particular corresponding elements for 10, there is nothing which is having 1 here. So you can't take 10. We can take this last row 25 and divide all the row elements by 25. If I divide 25 by 25, I'm going to get 1 year because I have to get 1 year ultimately. Now, why I have chosen 25, why not 10? If I divide 10 by 10, what's going to happen? I'll get 1, but I need to get 0. So it's tricky here. So the moment it's tricky, leave that element. Go to the element which is easy. Now, if I take minus 4, here it has to become 0. No, there's no way it will become 0 because 1 is not there in here, anywhere, in this particular column. So I'll ignore this. I'll come to 25. Here, I can divide by 25 because I want 1 here. If I divide 25 by 25, I'm going to get 1. So I'll take entire row 3, right? Row 3, and I'll divide or multiply like this. 1 by 25 into row 3. When I multiply like this, it's going to be 1 by 25 into 25, which is going to become 1. So I got my last element here, 1. Right? Similarly, I do this for the right hand side matrix also. Now, since I have got 1, now it becomes easy for me to make these 2 elements as zeros. What I'll have to do? 10 times of 1, minus it. 4 times of 1, add it because it's already minus here. Simple. The operations are, you want to modify row 1, you want to modify row 1. Row 1 is row 1 elements minus 10 times of row 3 element. The next operation is, we can club both the operations. Row 2 is row 2 minus 4 times of row 3. Now, remember there's already minus here. So this has to become plus. Only then it will get cancelled and become 0. Right? So now you perform these 2 operations and you get this matrix. So finally we have the identity matrix here. So this becomes A inverse. So A inverse is this matrix is A inverse. I hope this is clear. Do drop in your comments if you have any questions or any doubts. There is another 3 by 3 matrix. Right? 3 by 3 matrix makes it slightly tricky because we'll have to think. Sometimes we don't get ones, right? And then we will have to ignore that element and go to the next element, see if there is a shortcut or easy way to get it done. Right? So this is another example for matrix. This is a 17th sum. This is a matrix. So go through the sum, do it, and here are the list of operations to be done. Just note this particular steps, and you can do it offline, right? You can do it, work it out and see if you can get the right operations. Similarly, 15 sum is also there, right? This is simple. The number of operations are simple here. You can just look at these operations and do it yourself. With this, we have come to the end of this particular topic. Thanks for watching. Hope this video was useful.